Welcome back to Useful Detonator Jumps, the series where I, BonOakley, show you a vast range of jumps the pyro can perform with the detonator on maps and show you how useful they can be. They'll range from fairly useful to very useful, as a lot of maps don't exactly take detonator jumps into account in their layout, meaning some of them could be as simple as sticky jumping or rocket jumping, but with pyro instead. Keep in mind that I'm no detonator expert, so if I miss any I'd be happy if you told me below and I'll amend them in the next part. Today's part will be on all of the attack defend maps. I am aware that these count as control point maps as well, but with how differently they play to the maps with the 5CP style, I thought it would fit more to split them up. Also, I don't want to get anywhere near 30 minutes like the last part. These will also be going from the perspective of blue team for the most part, so keep that in mind. There's one map we can't do with the detonator however, and that's the group keep since, well, that doesn't allow any pyro weapons except melee. Snowplow is considered as an attack defend map, but it's in the alternate maps area, so we'll wait until that part to cover it. And without any further delays, let's jump right into the maps, starting with the infamous Dust Bowl. Coming out of the left side, there's a hut you can jump on top of. Not much use for this one unless you want to get up to an enemy standing up there, so not a lot going on here. Coming out of the bottom exit, you can jump to either side. A simple blast and you can surprise any enemies that may be battling up there. Not too bad. You can also jump to either side regardless of the left or right exit, so there's a couple of jumps around this starting area overall. Outside of the hut with the control point, there's a ledge that enemy snipers will use. You can jump up there to get the drop on anyone out here and perhaps use this advantage to attack anyone inside the hut defending. There's also a path behind the hut that is possible to jump up to in order to cut down on time, as well as getting the drop on people passing through, so a decent jump here. From that same path, there's a ledge once again leading to the control point. You can jump over to get anyone waiting for the shutters on the other side. Alternatively, you can jump from that side as well to attack anyone waiting behind said shutters as a surprise, so any team can benefit here. On the other side of the bridge, you're able to jump to the bridge up top to attack advancing enemies and take a few out. Again, it also saves time on walking up the stairs instead. There are also ledges above the red spawn that you can jump up to in order to harass anyone coming out of there. It can be useful for a sneaky tactic combined with a weapon like the backburner, but wouldn't recommend using this area. And that covers the first area of Dust Bowl. There's a drop off right next to blue spawn in area 2 that can be jumped up to from either team. Reds could use this as a sneak attack while blues can use it as a way to escape if need be. Not a terrible amount of use here, but could be handy at some point. There's another hut once again coming out of spawn on the right, which yes, you can jump up to. Attack anyone up here with this and you can help your team push out, as long as there isn't a sentry or two there. Could be good otherwise though. The small route on the left can be traversed quicker than usual with a good jump. Saves a bit of time too, so it's up to you on whether you want to use a jump or walk up normally. Finally, before the first point, you can jump up from the ground up to said point for a quicker route than walking inside, and you can probably surprise a couple of enemies trying to defend up there. Just watch out for sentries nearby. In fact, keep that in mind for all of these maps honestly. Above the exits of the cave, there's a small area that you can normally walk up. A simple flare jump can get you up there quicker and can allow you to dive onto enemies coming through. There are also the ledges opposite that can be jumped up to. Either side can be achieved once again with a simple jump, so pick your area and you can ambush people up there. There's also a ledge inside the building to jump up, so it can once again be used to ambush any enemies passing by. And finally for this area, you can jump up to the ledges on the opposite side near red spawn with yet another simple flare jump. If you do it at the right time, you can ambush enemies nearby, so this set of jumps around this area isn't too bad when done right. And that's the end of the second area. There's a drop off that reds come from out of their spawn before the first point is captured. You can use this to escape on red or jump up to on blue to attack anyone coming this way, or to get rid of anyone still up here trying to escape after the first point is captured by blue. Coming through to the final point, there's a bridge and ledge on the right that can be jumped up to. This ledge is a little harder to get to, but using these can allow for a jump on enemies up there and possibly deter any kind of setup happening. There's a ledge on the left and right just ahead of the final point, which can be gotten to by a simple jump. Left is good for reds getting the jump on blues as a surprise, and the right one is good for blues trying to sneak by quicker, so they're both useful. Coming from below, you can jump onto these pipes sticking out to get to the top area a lot quicker and sneakier than using the stairs. This isn't too bad as a jump used sparingly, so it's decent. To the left of the point is a walk off from a ledge. You can jump up there and get anyone inside the building. Not too bad for reds trying to prevent blues from coming through, and that about covers all the jumps for Dust Bowl. We move on to Egypt now, and the first area doesn't have much in terms of jumps near the first point. However, However, if you jump onto this small bit opposite, you can make it to the top near the point. Not really a lot of use I can think of for this one, but at least I found one just before the first point. In fact, there's an even sillier jump once you're up here. Detonate up to one of the pillars sticking out and make your way out of it to stand up properly. Jump one more time and boom, you're on top of the structure. Who knows what you can do up here, so go crazy experimenting if you so desire. Coming to the right is a couple of jumps you can do in order to get pretty high above the fight. Jump onto these bricks and make a jump to the ledges ahead. Then make your way to the boxes and blast up to the higher area. This is pretty good and can allow you to help spam the enemy team. You can make it to the pillar in the middle with a jump from here, or the other side with a flare jump. Handy to keep out of the way of enemies and assist with even more spamming of flares. Going to the left path brings you to a walk off near the point, which you can of course jump back up to. A pretty sneaky area to ambush enemies coming through, as they wouldn't expect someone to jump from this way. And that covers the first area. Coming out of the left spawn, there's a jump to the bridge on the right you can make. Just a simple flare jump will allow you to surprise enemies around this area and potentially kill a few of them. There's a jump you can do near the bottom of the point too. Jump onto the bricks and flare jump up, and you can get the jump on anyone down there defending. Of course, there may be sentries, so it's best to time it with a good push in order to efficiently do it. And there isn't really any near the final point of this area. You can jump to this pillar once again, but unless you want to spice up defense, there's not much else, so that covers the second area. There's a drop off from a path near the blue spawn. You can jump back up here as a blue to escape, or as a red, ambush those coming through here. Not that bad overall. Coming up the middle is a couple of bricks. Jump on top of them and you can flare jump to the middle and ambush any enemies up here shooting down on teammates. Finally, near the final point is some shutters with a walk off. Of course, you can jump up here and ambush enemies that come through, and with the right timing can stop them from going back through, essentially confirming their demise. And that covers Egypt. Our next map is Gorge. Outside of blue spawn is, you guessed it, a small hut. You can jump up here easily and get the jump on anyone below. You can get here with a ladder ramp, but it's more for the opposite side with this jump. You can also jump on top of the crates with a few flare jumps. You can jump from the hut too, but for the higher crate with the med kit, a flare jump is still needed, so it's still not too bad. There's also a ledge above the building opposite which can be reached with a flare jump. Easily best for attacking any snipers or other enemies shooting up there, and a quicker way of reaching this area. This one isn't too useful until blue get their spawn, but you are able to jump to this bit sticking out and up to the spawn area. This is great to get rid of teleporters and for attacking the first point, and it's good for high advances to spam down. Pretty decent overall. And down below is another jump that allows you to get to the point. Again, a single jump allows you to just reach this area and attack defending reds. Coming through the right area are some ledges above. You can blast up here and attack people either setting up or raining down on your team. Also a quicker means of getting up here, so it's pretty good. There are some walk-offs in the room just before the final point, and of course you can jump back up here as blue to escape, or as red you can ambush enemies coming through this way. Maybe take out a couple of buildings too if you're lucky. This ledge opposite can be reached in the same way as well. In the room of the final point there's another walk-off that blue use. Once more you can jump up to escape as blue or ambush as red. Pretty good for a sneaky surprise as red more. Down near the point you can jump back up to the higher area with a simple jump. Good for attacking advancing enemies or to get out of dodge if need be. Weirdly enough you can make it to the ledge opposite even with the height and slant. Jumping will get you to an area just below the ledge which you can then jump normally up. A strange one but very useful to attack enemies trying to defend up here. And that covers all of Gorge. Gravel Pit is our next map, and we'll begin our jumps on the area near point A. The first one is very simple, as you can get up to the spawn area blue came out of just by jumping up to either ledge on each side. This is beneficial if you need to get back to spawn quick, or if you're red you can give an enemy coming out a surprise. In the middle of the area you can jump from the bottom near the hut next to the point up to the point itself. This is a great jump to surprise enemies defending or capturing, as they'll be expecting you to come from an area they can see clearly, so using this would be interesting. That's all the interesting ones near A, so let's move on to jumps near point B. Just like before, you can jump up to the ledges that blue drop down from when they come this way. The same details from point A's version apply for this one too. Blue can get back to spawn and red can use to sabotage. Pretty simple. You can also get on top of the building that the point is situated in. It can be tricky when coming in from the front entrance to get on the small roof, but you can jump onto the rocks at whichever point you want, detonator or not, and then blast your way onto the small roof and on top of the building. This can be great to rain down flares to annoy the enemies and get a drop if you decide to get close and personal with your primary. Finally, the jumps around point C. Coming from point A's side, you can jump on top of these lamps on the small hut. This is especially useful for reds who want to sneak attack on any enemies rushing the last point. If you're using the lower path of this way to C, you can jump up to the area near the building that the point is at to get the jump on any unsuspecting enemies waiting there for you and your team. At the bottom of the ramp is a hut. Jump onto it and you can detonate your way to the top of the tower easily to jump anyone not looking your way. An interesting jump you can take on any side of the tower is one from the ramps. Just get to the flat surface at the top of the first ramp and then strafe around to get to the top of the second. This can surprise enemies thinking that you're coming from the normal way, and honestly is cool to pull off. Also, you can get on this little roof from here too, so that's a neat little jump there as well, which concludes Gravel Pit. Junction is next, and well, don't expect many. Coming out of spawn to point A is like 2 jumps and they're both the same. Jump up from the bottom to the point to surprise enemies, and jump to the ledge opposite as a sneaky way to go to B or C. These are super simple and can catch some enemies off guard from time to time, but again, very easy to pull off. Coming out to point B is 2 very similar jumps again. You can jump to the left side or the right side of the point to surprise people expecting you to take the stairs. These ones are even easier to do since they don't have a smaller hole to fit through like point A's jumps. Near point C, coming from A, is a small bridge you can blast up to, which is handy to get up there easily and to surprise a couple of people. Near the actual point is a couple of openings snipers can perch through if you're trying to defend. You can jump up here to surprise them and sneak behind enemies if you're lucky enough. This one is certainly the most interesting jump to say the least. And if you're attacking, good news, you can jump up to the area opposite that's just outside of the point to attack any defenders. Same applies here, and for the final one it is the balcony near red spawn. Just a simple jump and boom, you're there. Not a whole lot of cool jumps, but hey, that pretty much covers Junction. Up next is Mercenary Park, one of the newer maps for this video. As you leave spawn, you can jump on top of the small hut on the right side. This is good for defending players to get the high ground on people coming out, and if you want to change your angle, you can jump to the small part of the building that's popping out opposite. A simple but quite possibly effective pair of jumps. Sticking to the right side for now, we have a jump that can be done in 2 ways. First is by getting top of this rock and then jumping into the open window. If you can't make the distance, then blasting on top of these electric boxes and then into the window works too. This is great to get a jump on enemies expecting you to take the normal way and to potentially get a kill or 2. In the room just before the first point is the walkway just above. You can jump up there quite easily by getting in the gaps of the railings here. This can again be good to help push enemies back who don't expect you to be there, or just to get away if the situation becomes a little tricky. Coming out of here near the point, there's a way to get up to the same walkway but from the Reds' perspective. You can't get here with just one jump, so jumping on the railings near the alligator pit and then to the walkway is a neat alternate way to get there. On the opposite side there are containers that can be climbed onto too. Just get on top of this wooden box with a blast and then you can blast up to the higher areas once again. Coming to point B now, and you can get up to the walkways once more on both sides as they're just low enough to do so. Just a simple jump on each side works and gets you up there quick. And if you're going to the right side, you can use the elevation nearby to help if need be. If you're going up top and drop down in this area here, you can jump back up. This can be handy if you're being chased back here and have nowhere to go but up, plus it's another handy movement option overall. Right next to B is a handy jump to get on the opposite side of the shutters without anyone coming the other way noticing. Jump on this post on the right, jump onto the small hazard sign and then blast up to the balcony. Fairly effective for surprising those coming through the shutters. Coming to the final point, you can jump up to the top area after coming through the area where blue now spawns. A simple jump could get you up there if you miss the stairs or if you want to get the jump on someone up there. In the room near the point, you can jump over the glass pane and attack anyone on the other side. They typically have the advantage here, but jumping over can cause them to be surprised and could cause a distraction for your team. And finally, you can jump up to the top area near red spawn with a simple blast too. Not much else to say for this one other than it helps you get there quicker and in a way they won't expect. And that caps off Mercenary Park. The next map is another Jungle Inferno map, Mossrock. Going to the left out of blue spawn will take you to a lower area under the first point. You can detonate up to the area just to the right here to get up to the point's level. This is where the middle path from spawn takes you to, but if you want to sneak around the enemy or fall off by chance, then this helps get back up there. Down at that same area there's a small wooden plank bridge to the other side. However, since we can detonate over, it can be a good alternate way to cross without engaging a particularly air blast happy pyro over the pit. Going up the path on the left side, we come across a broken staircase. We can jump up onto there and across the roof heading towards the final point. This can be exceptionally good to get a lay of the land and can also be used to jump down on unsuspecting enemies below. A pretty nifty jump overall. You can access this place in a different jump using the bottom path by jumping onto the wall here and then to the staircase, so you can spice things up if need be. In the building where the Reds typically use, there's a ledge with a small wall you can blast on top of. You can then detonate your way onto the roof of the bridge above the first point. This is again a great vantage point and can be used similarly to the previous roof area. These two jumps open up a great amount of the first point's area to you to mess around with. Going over the bridge to point B on the far left, you can jump up to the area with the small health pack instead of using the stairs. This offers an instant recovery from the jump and an alternate flank if an enemy is waiting near the boxes and doesn't notice. The path right next to it has a drop down area just above. You can jump back up the hole in order to gain access to the higher area again, and as a sneaky way to get away if an enemy doesn't see where you went. When you come out of the room on the left, there's a small roof above. You can jump up there and wait for enemies to come through to jump them and land a sneaky blow. From the floor below you can just about reach the point area. You can do this to surprise defending enemies as they usually expect other means of making it to the point and not a pyro flying from below up to them. Now these next two aren't useful or even detonator jumps, I just wanted to show these dumb things off. So with the thermal thruster you can make your way onto this small wall outside of red spawn and thrust your way up here to just mess around. A similar jump can be done on the opposite side too. Just jump onto the small roof above and then thrust as high as possible to make it onto the bigger roof here. It's quite hard to reach but satisfying to pull off. Our next location is Mountain Lab. Coming out of the right exit of blue spawn is a small building the reds can reach with some tires and a small roof on the opposite side. We can access it on our side too by jumping onto the junk to our left and then detonating our way up to the roof. A neat way to catch red enemies off guard. Making your way down to A, there's a building each side. Going left you can stand on the stairs and make your way up to the opening just above. This is useful for reds to ambush blues or could be an interesting way to escape if need be. Standing just where you were before you can make it to the opening of the building opposite. Just jump onto the small wall below and then detonate up there. A simple way to ambush enemies standing around up there. Here's an obvious but fairly useful jump. Red have a drop down near B to access A before it's captured. If you're on blue you can jump up there. It's simple and effective and perfect to ambush any enemies trying to stop your advancing team. Coming through to B, on the top is a sniper perch where you can jump from onto the opposite perch and back again if need be. In fact it's better to aim for the opening as it's closer so you can effectively maneuver quicker around here. From the ledge opposite you can jump onto the small roof just nearby. You can then jump onto the roof above the point instead of using the ladder. Finally you can get to the highest point here with another jump and then launch yourself to the ledge on the left. This is a great set of jumps that can help you get around quicker and hopefully in a sneakier manner. Near the health kit as you're making your way to C, you can jump up to the same area again in order to catch enemies off guard and as a quicker way to get up there. Finally near the point there's a staircase to make your way to the higher levels. Stand on the stairs at the bottom and you can jump your way up to the first level to surprise anyone expecting you to take the normal way. Fairly simple but not bad. Our last map is Steel, which can be confusing for some players. Coming out of the left area to point A, there's a jump we can do to get to the higher area we may have missed coming out. You can do a simple jump to the bit sticking out and you're there. You can make it up there on the opposite side too, as using the ramp as a small help with height you can blast up there and surprise any attacking players. Making your way to B, there's a sniper ledge you can go to on the right. If you fall down you can make your way back up with a simple blast. It's mainly useful for defending players who want to surprise those attacking there. Near the point is a small hallway with a health kit. You'll notice the opening above and obviously you can jump up there. This is a good way to attack anybody situated in this building trying to set up sentries or just trying to avoid a fight. Coming to C as blue, you will have to drop down to engage the point. You can of course jump back up, great for retreating if needed and good to attack blues waiting up there if you're defending. There's a ledge just out of reach above near the opening to E. You can swiftly detonate up and attack anyone situated there. Makes for a good way to avoid anyone coming from the usual path. Down at D, you can jump up to the path blues can take and attack them coming through. As red, this is helpful as they can be camping your way out here, so using another means could be handy. As for jumps near point E, there really aren't any, unless you count the jump to the point before the bridges, but other than that, there aren't any useful ones. And that does it for the attack defend maps. As previously said, Snowplow will be added in the alternate game modes part, so stick around. This series will be finished eventually. Up next will be the other control point maps. There's 19 maps to cover there, but hopefully it won't be too bad considering they're typically mirrored, so fingers crossed I won't die when I begin that project. So anyway, if I've missed any then let me know below and I'll add them to the next part, and that about does it for today. This has been your Fem Pyro enthusiast BonOakley signing out. See you guys in the next one.